Hello, good morning, everyone. It's still morning. I am really delighted to see all of you here today with us. As you know, I'm sure all of you know, or some of you know, that we haven't had in person at the United Nations since 3 years. This is the first conference for the status of women that we are here in person. And I am delighted and excited to see a lot of our friends' faces and the new friends and everyone here today. This is one of the top major conferences that we have at the United Nations. And we're expecting this year maybe around 6,000 to 8,000 women. So some men enjoy that, a lot of them, they don't want to hear it. So for many years, we've always had our organization, International Federation for Peace and Sustainable Development, had more than one event, sometimes 2, sometimes 3. But we have so many issues as women to talk about and to share with others, so to have solidarity with other women around the world so we can make a difference. I am delighted also that I have an amazing group of people with us today, and His Excellency Ambassador of OIC that represents 56 countries, the honorable judges with us here, from New York State, and that I am delighted to have you here with us today. And we have some Afghan young ladies, compared to my age. I'm not that old. But they will share with us their experiences as well. So I will start with just a little opening statement, so I will give time for the rest of the guests to speak. According to UNICEF, around the world, there is 129 million girls are out of school. That is more than the entire population of Japan. Can you believe that everybody in Japan doesn't go to school? That's how many girls are out of schools. Imagine living in a country where you are denied the right of education because of your gender. Imagine being forced to marry at a young age, to wear a burqa and cover your entire body, and to study only religious subjects. This is the reality of millions of girls in Afghanistan today. In December 2022, the Taliban regime suspended university for education for women until further notice, affecting over 100,000 women. The government is private and higher education institution as well. They also impose restriction to access to secondary education, requiring them also to wear burqas, segregating them from boys, and limiting their curriculum to religious studies. These policies have negative impact on the health, empowerment, economic prosperity of Afghan girls and women, as well as on the development and stability of the country. So this is why we are here. We are here to make sure that the girls have the right to access education no matter where they are. And it is not up to them because we do have international law and rules for the rights of women. And I'm delighted to have a most amazing ambassador here because he will tell you exactly what the Muslim religion also says, because they're hiding, the Taliban is hiding behind that religious whatever screen. So it is delightful to have you here, and I would like to introduce him, His Excellency Mr. Hamid Abishabia. He is the head of the Permanent Observer Mission of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. He has an amazing history, but for the time I am not going to cover all of his accomplishments. And I've had history partnering with OIC for many, many, many years right here in this building. So it is with a great delight and pleasure I give you the floor, Ambassador.
Thank you very much, Madam Saudi, the President. Your Excellency, I think I should start by also allaying the fears of Madam Chair when she said that the men are a little bit uncomfortable with there being a minority in this room. Actually, I pride myself as, I always introduce myself as a male feminist. So therefore, I think I'm one of you, and I believe in the cause that we are actually working.
Give him a hand before he gives.
Thank you very much, and thank you for this wonderful introduction. Distinguished participants, it's indeed a great honor and privilege for me to address this very important event. which is being organized under the auspices of the International Federation for Peace and Sustainable Development. The Organization of Islamic Cooperation, which we call OIC. And some people will also call it OIC. But then it's a 57-member country organization, and it's headquartered in Jeddah, in Saudi Arabia. So we have a permanent observer mission here, which coordinates the work of the OIC group of permanent representatives, and 57 of them. We try to see how we can impact on the elaboration of resolutions within the United Nations setting, and particularly within the third committee, which deals with the issue of girls and women and empowerment. The Organization of Islamic Cooperation is proud to identify with the thrust and the theme of these high-level events on the sidelines of the 67th edition of the Commission of the Status of Women. There is no doubt that the nexus between peace and sustainable development is a settled matter within the global setting and among the various segments of the world communities. In advancing sustainable development, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation has continued to partner with the United Nations. In this regard, OIC focuses on education, scientific research, and human capital development in line with the UN Sustainable Development Goals. In the first place, the establishment of an OIC specialized institution, namely Women Development Organization, which is headquartered in Cairo, Egypt, speaks volume on the priority accorded to gender mainstreaming and the development of women and girls within the 57 member states organization. In the same vein, the OIC Action Plan, codenamed OIC 2025 Program of Action, has prioritized education, science, technology, and innovation, with emphasis on the inclusive development of women and the promotion of gender equality among their populations. Based on the Islamic principle of moderation, the OIC has continued to champion the need to provide equal educational opportunities for both men and women. Then I want to tell you now about our role and involvement in the Afghan peace process. The OIC, accordingly, the position of OIC in the Afghan peace process is to underscore the need for girls' education while emphasizing the Islamic principle of equal access to education for all segments of the Muslim populations. Both the Special Envoy of the OIC Secretary General of Afghanistan and the Islamic Fiqh Academy, an OIC subsidiary institution dealing with Islamic jurisprudence, have continued to carry the message of equal opportunities in education for men and women in Afghanistan. While wishing your deliberations today a resounding success, I wish to assure this gathering of OIC desire to continue to work with all well-meaning organizations for the promotion of peace and inclusive development globally. I thank you very much.
This is not playing music. Thank you, Ambassador. This is why it is so relevant and important to make sure that we all understand what happened in Afghanistan about the education for women and the access has nothing to do with the religion they hide behind. They have nothing to do with that. So I'm glad and thank you for making that so clear. One thing I would like to also say, we have a dear friend who is also co-sponsoring with us from Solomon Island, Ambassador Jane Watra. And she is unable to be with us here today because she is in Qatar. We have a big event there, a big conference for the least developed country for the United Nations, that is, and that's where a lot of ambassadors are gone, and they are there. Now back here, I would like, with a lot of pleasure, to introduce to you a real accomplished woman who is a wonderful friend and a great judge, and she has accomplished so much. But because of time, I'm going to have you talk about a bit about your background. The Honorable Judge Kathy J. King, Justice of King County Supreme Court. Please give her a big welcome.
Thank you, Sally. In the interest of time, I'm just going to have you refer to the flyer regarding my background, because I believe the contribution I have to make today is very important. To President Kader, member organizations, esteemed guests, and fellow speakers, I am privileged and honored to represent the National Association of Women Judges at this year's 2023 Commission on the Status of Women Conference. Every year, the Commission on the Status of Women invites gender equality advocates from all over the world to discuss progress, identify challenges, and set policies to promote economic and social issues for women's empowerment. By hosting today's event, the International Federation for Peace and Sustainable Development, led by President Kader, has provided a platform to discuss the important issue of educational access for girls and women in Afghanistan. In order to understand the challenges faced by Afghan women at this moment, we must understand the historical context of educating girls in Afghanistan. Historically, education for girls was primarily confined to Kabul, Afghanistan's capital. In rural Afghanistan, girls' education was rare. Under the rule of King Amina, which followed shortly after Afghanistan gained independence from Great Britain in 1919, women and girls were encouraged in their scholarly pursuits, and the country's secular education system developed quickly. This shift, however, directly threatened the centuries-old practice of traditional male-oriented religious education among many of the ethnic tribes in Afghanistan. Amunallah's experiment with a secular approach to education aroused protests from the country's religious establishment, and he was eventually ousted. Under King Zaire, who ruled from 1933 to 1973, Afghanistan's education system expanded despite the continuing influence from conservative, cultural, and religious authorities. By 1970, women made up over 60% of the 10,000 students who studied at Kabul University. However, in the late 1970s, as a result of sustained conflict, including ethnic struggles, the Soviet invasion, and the fall of Kabul to the Taliban, schools closed due to lack of security, lack of teachers, and teaching materials. Under Taliban rule over the next 20 years, the educational infrastructure of the country was destroyed and illiteracy increased in Afghanistan. The regime focused solely on religious studies for boys and denied nearly all girls the right to attend school. During Taliban rule, only about 3% of girls received some form of primary education. The prohibition of female education, coupled with the cultural mandate that women receive their health care from female health providers resulted in a vulnerable population receiving care from poorly educated providers. This began to change around 2001 with the U.S. intervention in Afghanistan. Access to education of children improved dramatically. Large number of children showed up when schools reopened in 2002, and enrollments increased every year. In 2003, the United States Agency for International Development funded the Afghanistan Primary Education Program in response to the lack of educational opportunities in Afghanistan for the general population and especially for females. This program offered emergency access to accelerated elementary education for out-of-school youth between 10 and 18 years of age, focusing on females. Between 2003 and 2005, the program supported accelerated learning programs for 170,000 overage youth in more than 3,000 villages in Afghanistan. Government records show that 5.2 million students were enrolled in grades 1 through 12 in 2005. This includes an estimated 1.82 to 1.95 million girls and women. An additional 55,000 to 57,000 people, including 4,000 to 5,000 girls and women, were enrolled in vocational, Islamic, and teacher education programs, and 1.25 million people were enrolled in non-formal education programs. In September 2004, the Women's Teaching Training Institute located at Kabul University opened with funding by the U.S. Agency for International Development. The institute aimed to teach basic literacy to Afghan women in rural areas and to reduce maternal and child mortality. In 2015, Kabul University even launched a master's degree in gender and women's studies, and by 2018, more than 3.6 million girls were enrolled in school. According to the Thomas Reuters Foundation, during this period, thousands of women were attending university and studying to enter professions like medicine, law, engineering, and journalism. Despite progress in educational access during this period, UNICEF data shows that Afghanistan still had a large education gap. Only 37% of teenage girls could read and write compared to 66% of boys. This gap can be attributed to lack of female teachers, especially in rural schools, together with cultural factors and traditional beliefs. A third of girls marry by the age of 18, and between 9 to 17% before their 15th birthday. Geographic barriers due to the country's mountainous terrain and safety concerns due to floods, earthquakes, and landslides pose insurmountable challenges for families to overcome, and as a result, they are less inclined to be supportive of educating their daughters. Since the Taliban's return in 2021, universities have been forced to implement new rules. Women are now only permitted to be taught by professors of the same sex or old men in gender-segregated classrooms, and entry to school buildings is also gender-based. In the legal profession, judges and lawyers have gone into hiding or are being forced to flee the country. In a 2021 UNICEF report, data shows that each year of schooling increases future wages on average by 3.9%. According to UNICEF, a girl's education is not only a moral imperative, but an economic necessity. This is the reason why I became a member of the National Association of Women Judges Mentor Team. In late 2022, I received a call from Judge Lisa Walsh. Judge Walsh sits on the board of the National Association of Women Judges and the International Association of Women Judges, and has first-hand knowledge of the training given over the years to assist Afghan women judges as they assume their judicial roles. Judge Walsh explained that up until August 2021, Afghan women judges were contributing members of the government, helping to build courts, rewrite law, and presiding in anti-corruption, anti-narcotic, appellate, criminal, and civil and family courts. These judges were proud of their work, and because of their gender and work as judges, they faced persecution and violence. As Judge Walsh put it, for the International Association of Women Judges, this was personal. Judge Walsh went on to say that help is needed since it was estimated that around 70 judges would enter the U.S. as refugees. She told me that one Afghan judge was located in the New York City area. Her name is Judge Rona, who is here today. I am proud to say that I answered the call for action to chair the New York Mentor Team on behalf of the National Association of Women Judges, which is one of 10 mentor teams in the United States. I answered the call because the plight of Judge Rona and other Afghan judges resonated with me as the daughter of an immigrant mother from the Caribbean who did not have a high school education. But for the opportunity to come to this country, my mother would not have been able to earn a living wage and give me the opportunity of an education. The plight of Judge Rona resonated with me as an African American who started school in the 1960s and was able to attend college and law school because of mentors, teachers, and sacrifices made by so many for equal access to education and opportunities in the legal profession. The plight of Judge Rona resonated with me as a member of the National Association of Women Judges, whose mission is to promote equal access to justice. Since December of last year, the mentor team has consisted of about 10 judges and other court personnel. The team was instrumental in getting Judge Rona information on the Judges for Career Opportunities for Refugees program, or JCOR. This program was created by former Chief Judge DeFiore and Court of Appeals Judge Singis with the specific purpose of identifying employment opportunities for Afghan refugees who work in the Afghan legal system. The program is funded by the Office of Court Administration and offers full-time paid analyst positions to eligible women and men Afghan refugees. Because of the mentor team's efforts, Judge Rona was able to begin her position in January and is currently working as an analyst in Queens Supreme Court in the Domestic Violence Unit. That's all I have. On our monthly Zoom calls with Judge Rona, mentor team judges have given her an overview of the criminal court and domestic violence unit. Mentor judges in this room have provided tours of their courts and given information on English courses, housing, and child care services. A mentor team member who is a J-Corps analyst from Afghanistan shared resettlement information. He's also in this room. One mentor team judge who formerly trained judges in Afghanistan invited Judge Rona and her family to her home. The challenge for us today is to continue to help in any way possible. No contribution is too big or too small. The National Association of Women Judges and the International Association of Women Judges have embodied the theme of the 2023 Commission on the Status of Women Conference, which is innovation and technological change and education in the digital age for achieving gender equality, and the Zoom and other platforms, we are able to collaborate and assist women throughout the world in the quest for gender equality. The mentor team's work with Judge Rona is a shining example of education in the ways of a new country, culture, language, and legal system. I am hopeful that my experience on the National Association of Women Judges mentor team provides all of you with ideas on how technological advances in the digital age can be used to make education a collective experience and shared on multiple platforms with girls in the younger generation. Thank you.
Judge Kathy, thank you very much for the wonderful presentation and the knowledge that most of the people here were not aware of the National Association of Women Judges and the International. And we're all on that team. I'm a member and I am on the team, and we have few of the member teams are here with us, some of the judges. So I'm delighted that you are all here. Now it's my real honor and happy to tell you that I am introducing to you, and she said a few things about you, but we'd like to hear it from your own voice. This is the Judge, Honorable Judge Rona Sabuwing. So please, the floor is yours, and tell us what you have. Give her a big hand, and if I may, she did not speak English when she first came. Her husband, Ahmed, was a wonderful, he still is a wonderful husband. But he always used to interpret. Now she speaks with English. She's doing it by herself. Go ahead.
Hello everyone, good afternoon. Her Excellency Ms. Salwa Kader, His Excellency Ms. Hamid, Honorable Judge Kathy Peng, Her Excellency Ms. Hasila Wardak, and dear Zarifa Hatib, Honorable Judges participate in this event. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to attend this important event. It is indeed a pleasure for me. As an Afghan woman who is denied all her basic rights because of being a woman in my country, I want to pray here for the present and the future of millions of Afghan women and girls. Today the moon is around of the bad situation for Afghan women. The women in Afghanistan were deprived of all their basic rights, including the right to vote and education. After the Taliban started ruling the country, the Afghan women are subjected to human violence because of our gender, which is imposed on us for the second time by Taliban regime. After the fall of the democratic government of Afghanistan and the domination of the Taliban, which was accompanied by violence and force, the living situation of women in Afghanistan are in the worst condition ever. The misogynist Taliban regime deprived women of employment, education, and the right to participate in this politics and social activities. Unfortunately, Afghan women lost all professional achievements that they all have gained in the last 2 decades, such as judges, lawyers, politicians, and even the female teachers who have been the only source of income for their families, suffering under economic and psychological strain as rule of job and income loss. That's why Afghan women start several protests as the relentless reaction against brutal Taliban regime. They know that their future in the Taliban government is uncertain and repeating the nightmares of 1996 to 2001. This is the second time in the less than 30 years that the Taliban has violated the fundamental rights of Afghan people, including girls and women. I'm one of the women who experienced this human violence for the second time in my life. In the first time of the aggressive and misogynistic Taliban regime, I could not go to school and had to wait for 5 years. With the help of the illegal government of the Taliban in 2001, I attended the school and achieved my childhood dream and start my job as a judge in 2017. But unfortunately, in 2021, for the second time, I was denied my basic and human rights as a woman working as a female judge and woman rights activist in my homeland. This violence applied to all Afghan women and girls. I want to ask the Taliban's leaders who consider themselves to be knowledgeable about Islam and claim to have an Islamic government. Whereas in Islam does it says that women should be prohibited from education and work. In fact, Islam is a religion whose first rule and guideline is reading and learning. There are several verses and hadiths in Islam that refer to education. I want to cite a few passages and hadiths, for example. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم. This recitation says that read in the name of the Lord who created the human being from a mere clay. Read, and your Lord is most bountiful, who taught by the pen. Also the verse قل هل يستوي الذين يعلمون والذين لا يعلمون means that are these equal who know and these who do not know? There is another strong hadith from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam regarding teaching and learning, which says, "Talab al-ilm farizata ala kulli Muslim," which means seeking knowledge is a duty for every Muslim. The verses from the Holy Quran and hadiths from the Prophet, which I mentioned, state that is obligatory for Muslim men and women to learn without gender discrimination. Ladies and gentlemen, in Islam, education is a divine domain of both men and women. The Quran as well as the hadith leave no doubt that women, like men, are obligated to increase their knowledge and pursue it. The Holy Quran puts the highest emphasis on the importance of acquiring knowledge. That is why we have more the 700 difference in the Holy Quran to word ilm, which means knowledge. Ladies and gentlemen, finally I would like to emphasize again that the Taliban have used Islam to deceive the people of Afghanistan and the world, while their behavior and action are against the tenets of Islam. We Muslim women want our rights based on Islam order. By banning girls from education, the Taliban only seek to divert the public's attendance from their other unjust behavior and action. They want to use their decision and diplomatic bargaining to get political privilege. Well, there is no guarantee that even if they get diplomatic advantage, they will allow women and girls to work and go to school. The international community and women's rights organizations should stand with the people of Afghanistan, especially with Afghan women and girls, to set up fundamental changes and establish a system in Afghanistan in which all human rights are valued and respected regardless of gender. The expectation of women in Afghanistan is that their fate and future will not be played with, and their fundamental rights should not be sacrificed in political negotiations. I want to end my speech with a request to the Taliban. Don't flag women for not wearing hijab. Instead, open schools and universities for girls and teach them how to apply Islamic rule in their lives. Thank you.
Your information and your story. Thank you very much. And you cleared up that everybody is not so gullible to believe the Taliban that is under the umbrella of Islam. Thank you for explaining that to us. And you want to move the hands. With all of the young people. It is my pleasure now to introduce another amazing young lady who has been an activist in women's rights, and she has also worked as here with the mission at the United Nations 20 years ago, and she is working independently for human rights, and she will let her say more about what she is and what she does. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Miss Asila Wardak. Please, Asila, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Madam, for giving us the floor and giving us the opportunity to speak. Today is the first day of the CSW, and then we started from Afghanistan. So before this, even me and some of our friends were at another Afghanistan mission hosted the program. And still it shows that there are lots of solidarities available for Afghan women and girls around the world. And once again, I'm thankful for this. As we sit here, as we talk about digitalization and computerization or anything around the globe, but unfortunately now more than 4 million girls are deprived from education, from school and university in Afghanistan. And access to education is one of the many atrocities and violations that Taliban brought on Afghan women and girls. Honorable Judge King spoke about the mentoring of Afghans and Afghan girls and young Afghan. I'm one of those that did in the past 25 years. I learned a lot from the international community. So now we are speaking that Afghan women are not those Afghan women that they were 25 years back. On that time, there was Navy Belly, there was Emma Benino, there was Mary Robinson, and other women leaders that they were talking about Afghan women. But now you can see me, you can see Rona, you can see other women, Afghan women that we are talking about our own. These are the great achievements also that we can share also with all people that sitting around this table. Either you or your government has provided all these mentorship and then also opportunity for Afghan women to speak today about their own rights. Unfortunately, Afghanistan is the only one Islamic country among the whole Islamic Ummah and Islamic countries that they are not providing women to go to school and university and ban from the Thank you. Afghanistan is the only first country among the all Muslim Ummah that they are not allowing women and girls to go to school, university, and also ban on women. 88, so far 88 decrees came out of Taliban government, and 85% of those decrees are against women and girls of Afghanistan. So this is really sad that you can see the whole jihad of the Taliban was against Afghan women and girls, and we are the victim. But here, Ambassador of OIC, Honorable Ambassador is sitting here. I can call, because the role of OIC is very much important in terms of, because Taliban, they are justifying, and then they are saying that we are the only one Muslim country, Muslim group, that we are banning women and girls, and then most of the Muslim world, they should copy from our. So this is very dangerous in terms of radicalization. So we are spreading radicalization to the rest of the world. And then if we, from one side we are talking, please open the schools, and then maybe because 23rd of March will be the first day of the school. If they open, for instance, if they open but there is also scary that we don't want a curriculum to spend or to spread the radicalization, to change the mentality of our youth and kids. This is also very scary because we had Islamic countries in the past, and then all curriculum was based on Islamic values and Islamic standards. But now if they are putting more radicalizations on the curriculum, that's also very scary, not only for Afghanistan, for the region, for countries, for the globe also, that we should ban. From another side, we are also thinking, and some friends that they are thinking that maybe a solution will be the online classes or online education for girls in Afghanistan. But online education it's like a nightmare. We are not sitting and talking in the malls. Afghanistan, we are facing lots of poverty. People, for example, one family, medium family, maybe have 5 or 6 children that they are going to schools. It's very difficult for a father to provide 6 computers or laptop or telephone for 5 children or daughters and then to do the online education. This is not practical. This is not practical. Please avoid funding online education. And otherwise, you're just extending this kind of education. We are in the 21st century. Why we are stopping girls to go to schools? Why we are not allowing girls to go to universities to work? From one side, I'm talking about myself when I was very child. Going to school, it was not only studying. My mother, she was a principal of a high school for 35 years. She could teach me at home. My father, who was an engineer and graduated of Oklahoma University of US, he could teach me at home. But for me, being a little girl, it was very good to go and then to socialize with other girls. It's not only about sitting at home and then reading. We can go to madrasa or to masjid or to sit at home and then learn from. But it's all about the social. It's all. We don't want to be erased women from the society. We don't want to be erased from the whole entire world. Let them to go and then to school and then to interact with other girls. This was a good opportunity for girls and then to talk, to socialize with other. Why Taliban are erasing from the public? We really want a space in public. We really need a space in the society. We really need a space on the table of negotiation and dialogue. Whenever they're talking about Afghan women, please don't talk about Afghan women when we are not available on the table. There are lots of meetings going on around the globe. Everybody's talking about Afghan women, but we are not available in the tables. What you're doing, again, you're dealing another deal, like Doha deal about us. Before the Doha deal, we were talking about the red line, that this is our red line: constitution, women's rights, education, peace. I personally was part of the negotiation in Qatar. And then I had the opportunity to talk and then to speak with Taliban. They promised it, that they will be like the way that you did your hijab. We will not stop women from going to schools or not banning women from the offices, but they didn't fulfill their promises. So let them ask to talk. There are lots of negotiation going on, or tractor going on, but once again, I would like to emphasize the role of OIC. I would like to take the opportunity to thank the OIC because they give, after the ban of women and after the ban of girls from school, they gave strong statements and say that this is not Islam. We would like to more engage OIC in their special rep and ambassador here in New York to speak with the authorities, to speak with Taliban, because they can speak their own language from Islamic point of view, at least women scholars. Also, I would like to urge UN, United Nations, to send more women delegation to Afghanistan when they are sending male delegations, to talk to Taliban. And also Amina Mohammed, she is a Muslim woman, Sima Bahous, director of UN Women, they went. That was really good. But next time, I would like to urge them to take a group of Afghan women also with them, to direct, like, if you're talking about political dialogue, fighting is not the solution. Military is not the solution. We are fed up. We have to go through political dialogue and negotiation with Taliban and sit with them in one table and ask about our rights. Thank you so much for all of this.
Thank you very much for sharing with us, and we'll take this up on us to pursue it. But we talked about the Undersecretary this is the highest position in the United Nations, and she is Amina Mohammed. And we have known her for many years. She's been with us here at the UN and a close friend. And she is from Nigeria, and she is a Muslim woman and in the highest ranking at the United Nations. So you can imagine her dismay when she went there in January. They were there, and with Sima Bahous, who is the head of the UN Women now, and she is a very close friend of ours, a very accomplished woman. And they went to speak to the Taliban, and they had meeting with them, and they had some Afghani women with them, and they were guiding them and so on. And they went to a lot of other countries as well. And I can quote something from her. Ms. Mohammed also stated that Islam does not at any moment forbid women and girls from pursuing education. On the contrary, the pursuit of knowledge is encouraged in the teaching of the Prophet. This is somebody else who wrote that, but this is the thing that they hide behind, and the most of the world do not know or have full knowledge of the religion. They think this is a religion of, they oppress women, they do bad things, they bomb, they this and that, whatever, and it is so, so untrue. And so these people like that, take away from the pureness of their own religion, and they are their own religion best enemy, because they don't follow it. It is totally something out of their own heads, and we should not allow them to stay that way or continue. So I said my two bits about Amina Mohammed, which I'm very fond of her. Now it is a lot of wonderful things. I always have, for people who have been following our work, I think music, I know, music is something for our soul. We have a lot of problems in the world, we have a lot of issues to tackle, but for some reason the music, it brings us all together without learning the language, the culture, or anything. So we have such person with us today, and she has accomplished a lot of wonderful things. She had played, she will tell you, on an all-women orchestra in Afghanistan, and she played in Davos, and she was in many places. She will share with us, and also at the end she will play the violin for us. even though it is not very well to die here, but we'll take it. It's with a great pleasure to introduce you Zarifa Adiba, conductor of Afghanistan's first ever all-female orchestra. Welcome her, please.
Thank you so much for having me here. You all are great people, older than me, and thank you so much for giving me this platform to speak here today. Hello, and good afternoon. To be honest, since August 15, 2021, when Afghanistan collapsed, I have been talking about the importance of education and the situation of my fellow girls in Afghanistan. And nothing has changed. And sometimes I feel like nobody's really listening to us. And I'm aware that even today, if I'm going to talk, nothing might change. But why I'm here, again, talking, taking every opportunity that is being given to me as an Afghan girl, it is because that I'm holding this small piece of hope in my heart that one day someone, somewhere, might listen to me with an open heart. I'm Zarifa Adiba, as Sally said. I have been the conductor of the first and all-Afghan female orchestra, and I'm from Afghanistan. I come from the west of Kabul. Thank you. I come from the west of Kabul, called Dasht-e-Barchi. This place, Dasht-e-Barchi, my neighborhood, I love it so much and I miss it so much. It has been one of the most dangerous places in the last few years in Afghanistan. You know why? Because a lot of attacks happened on schools and educational centers. I have lost my friends in these attacks. My 17-year-old sister lost her friends, not just 1, 2, 3. She lost 4 friends in these attacks in the last few years. And why these children are being bombed? It is because they are going to school. It is because they want to learn. It's because they know the power of education. The most recent attack was on September 13, 2022 on College Educational Center in Dasht-e-Barchi. 64 teenagers got killed brutally in their classrooms, mostly girls. Why? The same answer. Because they want to go to school, because they know the power of education, because they want to do something good for the country, Afghanistan, and for the world, for us. Growing up in Afghanistan, I'm so happy that I grew up there because I know the meaning of life, I know the meaning of education, I know the meaning of equality with the core of my heart. Growing up in Afghanistan, I always dreamed finishing high school. My biggest dream was that one day I'm going to apply to Harvard for my undergrad. And actually I did so, but I got rejected because I didn't have SAT scores and TOEFL scores. These 2 exams are very expensive to take in Afghanistan, and me as a girl was never supported financially by my family. And sometimes when I go back, I think that maybe I was not supported because I was a girl, and they really didn't expect me to dream big enough. But anyhow, despite all these circumstances, I'm going to be the first, or one of the first girls in my family who finished high school and is going to successfully graduate this May. In my country, in my beautiful country, Afghanistan, my fellow girls, girls of my country, have risked their life to go to school. In the last 20 years, they fought the chance to go to school. They fought their families, they fought the society, they fought the patriarchal system. Oh boy, they were brave. They proved themselves right. They became pilots, lawyers, judges, doctors, engineers, police officers, musicians. These women cast a vision to help those around them believe that they are worthy of an education. They did so, and just imagine if that could continue, how much passion, how much intelligence, and how much hope that could bring into our world, if that could just continue the way it did. Since the fall of Kabul on August 15, 2021, I'm haunted by unrelenting questions. Why has the world become this cruel? How could the world be this quiet and blind while millions of human beings are deprived of their very basic human rights just because of their gender? Aren't we now living in a world where we all are interconnected? If it is Afghanistan and Iran today, could it not be France or United States tomorrow? Frankly speaking, I'm very heartbroken. Like right now we talk kind of hopeful, but I'm just going to be very honest. I'm very heartbroken that feminism has these past few months since they took over Afghanistan. Where are the feminists? Those who have platforms to talk about it and they're not. Where are women especially? Girls of Afghanistan need you. They need you right now more than any other time in their life. They need you to stand up and say enough. Women of Afghanistan deserve better. Women of Afghanistan are human beings, and they should not be used as a tool for political gains anymore. Still, I just don't want you all to forget that I'm still a 24 years old girl going to school, and I still watch movies and I read books. And just a few years ago, I watched a very nice movie called Hunger Games. And if you haven't watched, I would recommend watching. I watched this movie and something struck in me, something really struck me so hard. This movie is about survival. There are participants, they go inside, they fight to live, to survive. And it's hard, the way the participants are there, it's hard. But they are working so hard to survive there. And I kind of I realized that it is so relatable to my situation, to the situation of my girls in my country. Right now, women of Afghanistan and girls of Afghanistan are participants of the movie such as Hunger Games. They are fighting for survival. They're fighting for education. They're fighting for their basic human rights. They are going on the street, shouting that someday someone somewhere might listen to them. They still have this hope. And those who are in the movie, those who are in the control room, they see everything, right? And thank God it was a movie. Thank God it was a movie. Yeah, I have to finish very soon. Thank God it was a movie. We are in the real world. But I hope that the leaders of today, the education advocates, the human rights activists, the feminists, okay. I hope that they won't fail like the leaders who failed in the movie Hunger Games. I'm going to finish. As I finish my speech, I don't want anyone to clap for me, please don't. Instead, I want everyone to take a moment of silence and imagine. I want everyone to take a moment of silence and imagine yourself in Afghanistan. You're a 15 years old girl, and the last time you stepped inside a classroom was hundreds of days ago. You miss your chemistry class. You miss chatting with your seatmate about which college you might attend. Now you spend all day at home, literally, and worry about getting forced to marry someone you don't know. Please take a moment to think about that. And I thank you for listening to me today.
Thank you so much. You spoke from your heart, and we all got it, really. And I share with you sometimes being a little bit pessimistic, because we would like to make changes in many ways, in many countries, but at least we are able to talk about it and bring awareness. We're not going to go and change it because we are able, but we don't give up that easy. So we need all of you to be together, and now you know the difference and you know the truth about many issues, because a lot of people would think, oh, well, it's in that country, that's their tradition, we cannot say this or we cannot say that, because this is how they are. I remember going to one of the camps, refugee camps, and I have heard that they are marrying the girls very young age, so the parents can take the responsibility of their hands to feed them. And so when I asked, and I was officially there with the UN, and I asked the person in charge, and he said, no, this stuff doesn't go on here. I said, I've heard that, and it's true. He said, no, it doesn't happen here. And then I insisted, and I went here and there and so on and asked with people, and then he said to me, well, it's their tradition. What the heck? Tradition? What? You're not allowed to do that. There is laws, there is rules. Marrying somebody because you cannot feed them or whatever their circumstances. So there's a lot of people look the other way sometimes because they don't understand. They say it's the tradition or religion or whatever. It's not true. It's all man-made. It's not true. Always, when you read something, remember that this is for the consumption of shallow-minded people. I'm not going to say simple, but always question, why? Why is this happening? What can I do to correct it? If I can correct it, but don't be quiet. Don't sit idle. I keep saying that to everybody. Hate something, but hate it enough to change it. So this is the way we all should be. I do thank you. And I'm going to give a few minutes for questions and answers, and then we will play when are you ready to play?
Yeah, I will go outside to tune it and then I'll...
Just go because we don't have that much time.
If you have questions, you can ask.
So please, if you want to have a questions, ask it, and if you know the specific person, ask it and name the specific person. Go ahead, I'll open the floor.
I do have one question. Who is holding the Taliban accountable to the promises they've made? Who has the authority and power to enforce that accountability?
I think there is this issue of recognition on the international. And I think Afghanistan today is actually being held accountable for not conforming with the international norms. And that is why we always refer to them not as a government, we refer to them as de facto government. So the importance of the jury is very important also in international, other international law. And so therefore, there is a lot of pressure. The idea is to put a lot of pressure on all institutions, including the UN, including the organizations of Islamic cooperation where they belong to, so that until they conform, it will be difficult for them to also interact with the global scene. That's also
If I may just follow up, ask a follow-up question. how are you enforcing that accountability? What are the ramifications for lack of compliance? What is being implemented so that they are feeling that pressure? How is that pressure specifically being manifested on them?
Well, I think it's just about when you isolate a country, I mean, there's going to be a lot of economic sanctions, like social sanctions. People are not able to access this. I'm sure it's a very potent measure that can actually be taken.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
So I am Justice Carmen Velasquez. Hi, I'm Justice Carmen Velasquez. I preside in New York Supreme Court. And I'd like to thank you, Sally, for this most wonderful ability for us to present these very important issues, which is being able to help Afghan women. So what New York has done is we have done a program to make sure that our women are in help. So when you have a chance to do so, let's do it together. Because if we don't do it together, then we have lost. So now our Judge Roma has a job, and she has all her papers all set, and we're ready to go. But that's one person that we've been able to help. And I was very proud that she came to my county to do so. But what Sally is doing today with the International Federation for Peace and Sustainable Development is to share with the world the work that has been done. And that is commendable. And I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate your kind words. I really do. And I want to thank you for offering to help. And she said to me, whatever you need, I'll come and help you. And she was here Friday, and we ended up going to a nice movie together. So now we will have another question. Go ahead.
I'll make it brief. Thank you for all the organizing committees and everyone who's present. And a number of people have raised the issue of how to translate this concern into action. I'm not one of the organizers, but today at 3 o'clock there will be a protest in support of Afghan women on 7th Street. So I really...
7th Avenue or 7th?
Yeah, the protest will be in the corner of 47th,
47.
in front of the UN. So at 3 o'clock, if you would like to join us, that would be the
So you're saying 47 and 1st Avenue, right? Yes. At 3 o'clock, if some of you would like to join them. Any more questions? Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much, everybody, for your conversation here, guests and distinguished guests. I'm an honorary ambassador for Colombia, and I do, I'm an activist for the education for children and for women and girls. And I send computers over to help them and the kids, and we're working on, water for the housing for the kids that don't have homes, and solar energy, and we do a lot, and this is contributing to Colombia's process for total peace. So how do I get a hold of somebody from Afghanistan? Because I know that it's hard to get into that country, but who would I talk to? Who would I be able to help? How can help with the computers and all the stuff that the women need and the girls for education? Because that's one of our social projects too, education. But I was able to get computers here donated to my foundation, and I sent
Well,
them.
we will let you know later. I know you called me on the phone the other day and we spoke, but we will let you know.
Okay.
Any other question? Just a question. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, my name is...
Use the microphone.
Yeah, use the microphone.
I'm loud enough. It's okay.
No, this is for everyone.
It's for the film.
Yeah.
They're recorded.
Hi, my name is Pujma Ekbarzai. I have a question from the president of OIC. Just to confirm, if Pakistan, Qatar, and UAE are member states of OIC, yes?
Yeah.
Yes, very yes.
Okay.
Very yes.
If this is yes and this is true, the leaders of Taliban or their high-level leadership and their family members in their businesses are all over these three countries. If Taliban are not respecting the very first fundamental right of women, which is freedom of movement, and their right to education, why is OIC not putting any pressure on Pakistan, Qatar, or UAE to at least deport their immediate family members and freeze their assets in businesses in these three countries, and also put a travel ban on Taliban leadership? And if anything has been done, what has been done so far to support Afghan women and girls?
You're right. These three countries are members of the OIC. They also participate in resolutions on Afghanistan. You will recall that last year, in 2021, there was a special conference on Afghanistan in Islamabad. And there was an action plan which they are working through. It has some sanctions also, but of course not the one that you have talked about. But I think they are putting more sanctions on the government, possibly not on the people. But I'm sure as we go along, these sanctions are reviewed, they can be tightened, and they can also take care of what we are talking about.
But doesn't this drag on for years and years? Everybody's talking about what should be done. Sanctions are made, countries don't follow the sanctions, people are suffering. So what do we, John Q, average person do, as the young lady, as Ms. Adiba was mentioning, what do we do on a daily basis to support these women in Afghanistan? And how much more can you do, not you personally, but OIC, how much more can you do to support these women? And add to that, what is OIC not doing?
Well, I think you want to add something to the question?
Yes. I just wanted to say if you know one of the political representative of Taliban's leadership, his name is Mohammed Naeem Wardak. He confirmed last week that the Afghanistan embassy in Qatar will be handed over, or has already handed over, to the Taliban. And the second thing is that it has also been said that one of the Taliban leaders' daughter, she is the member of the soccer team in Qatar. If all these are true about the Taliban, and if they can exercise their right, and if they have this double standards for their immediate family members in the rest of Afghan women and girls, then I think OIC should take some strong measures, at least to address these things to the Pakistan, UAE, and Qatar, if nothing else.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but actually, talking about the action that the OIC is taking, just like was said here, that the Secretary General, the Deputy Secretary General, Amina Mohammed, was also in the OIC headquarters before actually going to Afghanistan the last time. And we have our personal and our special envoy of the Secretary General on Afghanistan working on daily basis. And I just said in my speech that even the Islamic Fiqh Academy, the ulama, there is a lot of contact with all the Afghan strands or categories of segments of the Afghan population to make sure that we put more pressure. So pressure is going to be being mounted. Maybe you need more pressure. That's also one thing. But then, of course, there's a conference next week in the Conference of Foreign Ministers of OIC in Nouakchott, in Mauritania. I'm sure they will also discuss that again, and they will also talk about more pressure.
But what would you like to see the OIC accomplish that they haven't accomplished? Or what's that discussion that's going on behind the scenes that makes you uncomfortable with how things are proceeding? Is there something going on that we should know about that you're not supposed to tell us? That you wouldn't mind telling?
No, but you know, diplomats are always optimistic. I mean, when they say they have frank discussions, it means they have got a force. So here I would just say we have frank discussions, but I won't say we fall. But at the end of the day, we are talking to them, and there is talk about talk. And we believe, optimistically, that using this pressure, even Qatar is closer to the Taliban, but then it can also be used as pressure to ensure that the de facto government conform with international norms. So, very optimistic.
Thank you. One more question,
No, Salwa, we're finished. They're waiting.
I want to acknowledge all that you are doing, and I recognize the complexity of the situation. And the question is, how many women, what percentage of that delegation will be female next week?
No, the next week one is the ministerial meeting in Mauritania. Yes, they will be discussing this. But anyway, our office in Kabul operates, and we have women. Oh, yeah. So we are.
No, they do.
We just opened the office. Of course, Taliban will continue to resist, but we are also resisting.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. I have to tell you, I've worked with the OIC for many, many years. And when they started paying attention to the girls, to the women, and to youth, I started it here. In your record, you could see it. So they're doing a great job. I really, truly thank you for being here and shedding a light and showing us what the good is, and thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Please, I'm going to give an award for a dear friend, for Judge King, for her work with the project. And I would like the judges that are also on that committee to be here.
Can I have a card? Thank you.
Where is the judge?
Carmen, excuse me. Yes.
Can we get everybody, please?
Yes. This is the real one.
The judges
I will take it. Collect. Yeah, those are all. The last one.
والله هذه فظيعة.
طلعت خالد